We are back with part 2, Deconstructing Christianity, Deconstructing Religion. I'm with my special guest, Edmond Baker Jr. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Yes. Today, we're going to talk about church leadership. And the first question that I want to ask you is, if people are thriving financially, emotionally, healthy, things are good in their life, they're thriving, but they do not have a church home or church leadership. Yet you have people that do go to church, they have a pastor, and they're struggling all the time in their finances, in their health. Why do people need church leadership if they are thriving and they're succeeding in life? But then you have people that don't, they're not. And people will tell you, but you need a church home, you need a pastor.
Mm-hmm. Well, from my experience, being that I'm self-employed too, in the business world, it's pretty much the same concept because, it's principles for everything in life.
Yeah.
And so whether you're in church or out church, out of church, if you apply those principles, they'll work, And so a lot of people in the business world, they understand those principles, or people that's in the corporate world, but in the church, a lot of times, they don't understand those principles because they're being fed, a whole different concept. It's like a dependency. So it's like if you're in church and your whole idea is I'm dependent on my pastor, I'm dependent on, I got to give my tithes, I'm dependent on, I got to give my pledges and dues, and if I don't do that, then I'm not blessed. It's a whole different mindset, in that type of environment.
Okay. And
so you never really taught, the success principles.
Right.
You don't have to be spiritual to be blessed. Well, I'm not going to say blessed. You don't have to be spiritual to be successful.
Gotcha. And you know what? That is true, because years ago when Oprah was giving away cars and just giving all this money away, people would say, oh, she's rich, but she would openly confess that she's not a Christian and she didn't believe in that. She was following a law, a principle of give and you shall receive.
Yeah. And also like some people are that, they're givers. They're not givers, and so it's like some people are givers. But as far as, the church giving versus in the world or corporate or whatever you want to call it, it's totally different because in the church environment, it's not you giving because you blessed and it's out of your abundance. You giving the gift,
Yeah. Yes.
and it's like I need my light bill paid, so I'm gonna give to the church. I need my house, my mortgage paid, so I'm gonna give $1,000 seed.
It's like a gamble, like a lottery. Like, here we go.
Yeah. And so it's like that $1,000 is that's your mortgage.
Right. Right.
But they don't think of it like that, because they so conditioned and brainwashed and programmed to believe that the only way I can be blessed is to give to my church or give to my, sow into my ministry, so they take all of the logical, principles out of it. Everything's not spiritual. It's like, if I have this amount of money and I have this do or that do it, I mean, God done blessed me with the money. I got it, but I gave it to my church.
But then they'll say, what would it profit a man to gain the world and lose his?
Yeah. And it makes absolutely no common sense. That's why they have to keep people thinking all spiritual, because it doesn't make any common sense at all. That's why most people of course we know people in church that got money, but most of them got money because they got good jobs. It ain't because they've been giving.
Right. And this one lady commented and said that her pastor told her that, what does it look like you driving a better car than me? And she was like, we're just not in the same tax bracket. And then someone else sent, your pastor lives in a mansion, you're struggling to pay your bills while you're waiting on your mansion in heaven.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just, that's what I'm saying. When I got delivered from that, I was able to see, you know, that they try to make things so deep,
right?
You know, when they not deep at all.
You know, I have a question, another question. And a lot of these are coming from people that have been following me now, and they have questions, and I just want to ask, because I have my view and I want to get your view. What qualifies a human being to be a pastor and to shepherd over someone? And we're not talking about the scripture, because somebody gonna go pull up, they have to be this and an elder and a deacon and the husband of one wife.
Yeah.
I said a human being that has the same potential to do the same things that I can do, that has the same flaws. What qualifies them to be a caretaker or a shepherd of our soul? When, for example, there's a layman couple, a couple in there that's just churchgoers, he would never cheat on his wife, but the pastor's cheating on his. Like, what qualifies you to be over me as a human being who we both have to use the restroom the same, get dressed the same? You heard that before, but you may not even have as much money than me. Like, what? Why? Why do you have to be over me? Another human being. And I'll tell you this, let me give you this so you can think on that. When I was first lady of a church, a member, a deacon that was under us, came to me to expose my ex-husband for doing something, right? And it was something that was in a phone that was sold to him. And he saw some things and he said, First Lady, I'm coming to tell you this. And I gave Pastor 30 days to come and tell you. And this guy was upstanding, would never cheat on his wife. But here he's under somebody who's doing it. So what qualifies? And I mean, anybody, what qualifies any man? Some people have female pastors to be over somebody.
Well, it's that's a simple explanation too, but it's a difference in the appointment. Who does the appointing? Like God can appoint people, or people can appoint people.
Come on now.
And that's the difference, especially in ministry. You know, that's what it all boils down to. If God appoints that person, then you're gonna know it, because you're gonna see the fruit of of that. But if people appoint people, or man, quote unquote, appoints people, that's the problem right there. That's the problem in a nutshell, because majority of these churches, they pick their pastors and they vote on their pastors and stuff like that.
That is true. That is true.
And so if man, if man appoints you rather than God, then that's the whole reason why you see so many, of them in those positions that don't need to be in those positions.
Right. That makes sense. I like that. That's a really good answer. So
they like them. Like, they'll pick a pastor because they like him.
That is true. Just like people will pick a president because it's a female, because they're Black.
Yeah.
Then when they don't perform, now you want to impeach them and get them out of there.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's just humans. Humans, we silly, So we can pump that person up, but we'll be the same people tearing them down.
Right.
And so that's what it is. It's like it's like whenever God appointed people, well, even in the Bible, like, even if it's like, even if they chose other people to be in positions, God always gave the direction. And he always gave the requirements. He said, find somebody, filled with the Holy Spirit, somebody that's, already walking in integrity. You already know these people. It's like, whenever God said to select people, it was always based on what they already known for.
Right.
They didn't just come out of nowhere, and then they say, hey, I like this guy, I like this lady, it just, because I know situations like where these churches, they, some church, it's like I'm thinking about certain churches like right now. It's like certain churches that I know of personally. They go through pastors like changing clothes,
Right.
But every time they get that pastor, he the best ones that ever came along since the beginning of time. It's like, oh, this the one. Our pastor, our pastor, our pastor, our pastor. You see him talk about him, pumping him up. Telling everybody in the neighborhood, we got a new pastor come over to our church, and come be blessed, and it's like they'll pump that pastor up for some weeks, some months, maybe even some years.
Right.
But sooner or later, it feels out.
Right. The humanity of that pastor comes out. And that's what I'm on right now, is the demand, which is sickening to me. You need a pastor. You need a church. Yeah. And even on top of you saying, okay, it's a difference between when man selects someone and when God selects someone. But even with David, the shepherd in the Bible, God selected him, and he still killed somebody, still stole somebody's wife, still had a baby, and did all the things. So it still goes back to my question. If you are a human being, and people told me that, it's the pastor's job to bring the word of God to you, but it's your responsibility to take that word and have a relationship with God, and he speaks to you. Like it doesn't make any sense. You're telling me I need him to give me a word, but you're supposed to have a relationship with God yourself. Well, then why do I need a word if I have a relationship?
Yeah.
Is he mute and we just have a relationship and I can't hear him? And I said this before. Is God going to say, hey, did you talk to your pastor before you came to me? Did you get the protocol? So here's the thing. I'll add to that. They'll say things like, well, when you get married, you're going to need a pastor. I can go to a judge. Next. When you're married, I can do that next. When you're healing, they have doctors next. They have holistic. I'm just making the point that there are people that are doing great. They're striving without church leadership. There are people that are doing not well and still have church.
And that and to answer your question, from that aspect, from that point of view, is I totally agree with you. I totally agree. You don't have to have somebody over you. Like you said, even if God appoints somebody, to be in leadership, that still don't mean you gotta be there.
I think it should be a want. Do you want a pastor? You want to go to church? Good, but don't be out telling people you need it and God's mad at you and you out of the will of God if you don't. It should be something that you want to do. I want a pastor. I want a church. I can honor that versus you telling me I need to. And it's so weird when people walk up to you and they're meeting you, and the question they ask, so what church you go to? Why does that have to define you? So what church? You don't go to a church? And then they try to ask you, or you're afraid to say you don't go to a church because of that negative, connotation of no, I don't go. You don't even want to say it. That stigma, that negative stigma of no, I don't go to church. And you already know in their mind, you can feel it. You can feel that they're
but I've been in the grocery store and I'm on the aisle and it's got people I had this, like I witnessed this not too long ago. It was like an elderly black man and an elderly white lady. They was in the grocery store, and we on the aisle in HEB, and I'm just grabbing my stuff. But then they was in the needed to get in the same spot, and so he was like, "Excuse me," and she was like, "Oh, okay," and so all of a sudden. They was being cordial with each other. You know how it is, in a public place, and you stranger, and she an old white lady, and he an old black man, So it's like they both felt kind of awkward, and so they were just being nice to each other. And then he was like, what denomination are you? Because they was being nice with each other, so I guess that automatically mean that they must be Christians. They nice to each other, and so he's like, what denomination are you? And she say, I'm what she say, Presbyterian. And then she say, What denomination are you? You say, I'm Baptist.
Oh my God. And that's defining us. That's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the conversation of greeting somebody. Like that defines you. That means you're worthy to be here on the earth because you go to a church versus allowing people. Like, why do we feel like we have to be God's deputy? Like, if he can't, like if we need to be there, like he can't reach us if we need to be in church, but people feel like they are, God's deputy and we have to tell you as if he couldn't. That's the part.
And it's so many examples, but like as far as we all have our own assignments. And my assignment is like to church leadership. And that's the difference because like everybody not leaders, and so if you're not a leader and you feel like you have to sit up under somebody because you don't have what it takes to have your own, relationship, your own, study time, and your own, if you feel like you got to be coached and you got to be coddled and you got, that's your business, but everybody not like that. And so if you're a leader or if you somebody who can, be like self-disciplined and you can do stuff on your own. You don't have to have that, right. Then that is two different types of people. And like it's cartoons, like animations that I done seen that gave me more revelation than the Bible. I've seen ants in Bug's Life.
Yes, you get a word through what's that one? It's the one with the emotions. It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon movie. And when I think about it, it's about all the different emotions, and you can get a word out of anything.
Yeah.
Spiritually alert.
Yes.
Because some of us will use our brains to think.
Yeah. It's a message
that's been given to us to navigate this life. Some of us think on our own to navigate this life.
Yeah. And see, and like on ants, it was like worker ants, like the worker ants, they have that mentality. That's all they do is work. Yeah. And then, if you get out of line, like it was this one ant. Now, there's millions of ants in an ant bed, an ant colony, but it was this one ant that just was like, this not me.
Right.
And that one ant changed the whole mentality of the colony and like saved the queen, all kind of stuff at the end.
Right. And in Proverbs, it has a scripture about go to the ant, you sluggard, and it talks about agent,
Yeah, and it's like I say, all the time that one person can make a difference. It's like most people don't think like that. Most people think, like they say, like the herd mentality or the sheep mentality. And so that's the majority of people. So I understand that they need to understand that everybody not like that.
Right. Everybody's not like that. Everybody doesn't have to be controlled. So like you said, there's two different people, the people that have to control you. I need to be over you. And the people that want to be controlled. Control me, speak to me, give me the answer. And they're just looking up to, and you have these two people that want to be controlled and want control. Yeah. And I look at church leadership. You do. And I look at, that's where my mind is right now with church leadership, since someone commented and said that pastors have access to people's money. Black people, they have access to their money and their minds for 4 hours at least on a Sunday. And I want to charge them and challenge them. Like, what are you doing with that access as a church leader? And we're going to get into some specific things about church leadership. Today we were at the park and we took the kids to go play, and it was a church there. Lo and behold, it was a church there around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So they came there, they were cooking barbecue and they were playing games. I guess they were having a church picnic, their church picnic. Okay, cool. Y'all out the walls, y'all out here doing your thing. But when I looked, and it was a Black church, it had to be at least 75 people out there. And and they have their music, and I'm just looking at all the people, and I think I see the pastor. I saw who the first lady was because they said her name over the mic, and then the pastor, he just kind of dancing around, and I'm looking at all of our Black people. Every last one of them was overweight.
Wow.
I'm talking about extreme overweight. This is not fat shaming. I'm talking about my people, because we're the ones that go to the doctors and the hospitals and we complain about how they treat us, but we don't complain about how we treat ourselves. You know, you want to have a barbecue, have your little barbecue, but what are you doing the rest of the days and the rest of the weeks? And we can see, I saw one man that had muscle mass that was visible, and people say, that don't mean you ain't, that don't mean you unhealthy. Okay. Black people with high blood pressure, all the cancers, all the things. And if we took care of ourselves, then we wouldn't have to complain about hospitals. But my thing is, as the church leader, I think he may have had a little muscle mass, but all the women, all the men, everything, just gut, and more butt and gut. I talk about it because I used to be big and I lost my weight, right? And our bodies are the temple of God. So my thing is always now, church leaders, what are you doing with the access that you have? And you're looking and you see all your people, your people, right? Yeah. Who can run, who couldn't do anything, and just the sickness and the disease that's running rampant. So let's get into this church leadership as to what are you doing with the people? And somebody came and said, it's not his job to do that. It's his job to bring the word of God. You know,
they don't do that.
Right. You're not even bringing that. The Rhema word.
They talk about everything else they want to. Everything they want to talk about.
And taking the stories and twisting the stories and adding to the stories and taking on the stories and just, you know, remixing these stories. So that was eye-opening. And I have been saying it all week, but for me to see it today, even before, you know, we did this recording, these are why should we not be concerned about that? Every last one of them.
Yeah. And we only have one body. This our temple.
Right.
This is the only one we have.
Right. So what can we do to impact the world when we're all just unhealthy and unweight, but unhealthy and overweight, but we going to church, we're going to be in heaven. We're going to all waddling in heaven. Like, right. I'm serious. We need to do better. And here's the thing. People will say, well, you know, Black people, they don't know how to eat healthy. They don't know how to cook healthy, but they knew how to do that line dance when they cut that music on.
Yeah.
Steps to do a line dance. Yeah. They're doing it to the left, to the right. Yeah. They did about 3. You have to learn them steps. So you can learn how to eat right. You can learn how to exercise. You can do it. It's just, we're not doing it. The people are not doing it. And church leaders, I think you have more of a responsibility than just bringing the word. Since you have access.
It's laziness because because it takes discipline,
right?
You know, and so it's laziness, and they just make excuses because it's a guy I saw just recently. We went to school together and we used to play basketball in the streets and, you know, street ball, all kind of stuff. We all just, you know, we used to just, you know, we just was always active, real active. And he done like, you know, blew up compared to high school and college age and stuff. You know, we used to always ball and stuff. And he was saying it himself because everybody knows, because he was talking about his health challenges. He was talking about bad knees. He was talking about all kind of stuff. And he said, man, I know I need to get rid of some of this weight, man. I know I need to get rid of some of this weight. And so they know, you know, they just make excuses. They make excuses.
Right. And the pastors say they love and care about the people. Do you? I think you care about the attendance and the funds that are coming in. And that's why you was walking around with your plate, just laughing and dancing. But somebody on the outside is looking at all these people, and then they all have their church shirts on. And y'all are representing God with this body that you call the temple of God.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So with your experience with church leadership, how do you want to go about talking about that? Mm-hmm. You were a leader in the church, right? But you were also under people. What is your experience of as being under church leadership? Like directly, like as a deacon, were you an assistant pastor?
No, I would never know deacon.
You probably asked too many questions. They wouldn't let you be no deacon.
No, I would never know deacon. I don't want to be no deacon. To me, deacons is old people.
No offense, but I hear you. I hear you.
But you know, they had the junior deacons, little kids and stuff. You know, but me, I've always either been like with music ministry or with like being a minister, like an associate minister or a youth minister, you know, stuff like that. But or you know, like church administration stuff, you know, with administrative, you know, side. But but coming up in it, it's like, okay, take for instance, whenever I used to speak a lot, and they'll get me to come speak and you know, preach or whatever you want to call it, you know. But it's always been this like, I mean, to be honest, it's always been like we better, like the leaders are better than the congregation. Like, you know, we better than the pew members. You know, we special.
Yes,
you know, that's how it's always been. And I don't care, you know, who get upset about it, because it's the truth. I mean, ever since I've been a little boy, I remember how the leaders, the preachers and their wives, you know, mostly it was the men, you know, at first, and then sometime, you know, later, it's like the wives started being included, but at first it was just the men, like the preachers, the pastors, it was like they was it, you know, and so I remember, like, whenever church, and this is like once I became an adult and stuff, like because it always happened. But I remember when I was a kid, the pastors and their wives, that they would, like, after a revival or something, you know, that they would all go to the upper room, you know, and they'll go fellowship amongst themselves. You know, and all the peasants will stay in the cafeteria, or they have to go home. You know, they don't have nothing to eat, but they'll have steak or something, you know, real nice for the pastors and their wives, you know, and so it's like, I remember that, you know, but then once I became an adult, you know, I didn't really like that. That kind of turned me off. Right. And so when I started ministering and stuff, I became an ordained minister in '96, and so like, it was like I was saying, when I came back from Bible college, they still, like, expected me to be the same way. And so whenever I would go speak, like, they'll have me sitting in the pastor's study till my time to come out, and I didn't like that. I'm like, I want to see what's going on. I want to be in part of praise and worship. I want to fellowship and meet and greet, and, you know, I don't want to just come out and, like, hey, here I am, you know. And so I would just suggest, you know, like, going out earlier and stuff, and even just a simple request like that, you know, it was like I was cussing them out, you know. Like, why do I want to go out there, you know? And I was like, well, I just want to get a feel of the atmosphere before I come out to speak and stuff, you know. And so that there, you know, that started the resistance, you know. But then, okay, that's fine. I'll go out and stuff, and I don't have to just come out and make my grand entrance, you know. And so I was already kind of kicking against the prick, you know, the system, you know. And so, but then, okay, after that, like, whenever I was speaking, I would give my testimony. It's like churches. I remember one particular instance. It was lots of them, but it was this one when I first had started ministering, like, you know, like in '96, '97 and stuff. I was giving my testimony, because that's why I say my assignment is to church people, you know, and leadership now. You know, at first it was just church people, church folks, period. But now it's mainly focused on leaders, because I see how the leaders, you know, have such an impact on the congregation, and it could be negative or positive, you know. So that's kind of where I am now. But back then, it was to everybody in church, you know. So I would give my testimony, and when I would give the altar call, you know, people would come up. I mean, half the church would come up, you know. And then I remember I did this one youth rally, and like it was probably about 50 teenagers there, and all 50 of them came up to the to the altar, and the pastor, after it was over, he was like, "Man, I ain't never seen young people respond, to the altar call like that." And like I said, it was the anointing God put on me, but it was my testimony, and so all of a sudden, like I said, you would think they would be excited to see all these young people flocking to the altar, but instead it started being this. Wait a minute now, I've been doing altar calls for 30 years, and ain't nobody ever came up like that. And he coming here, and now the whole church coming to the altar. He might try to take my church,
Right.
That's the kind of mentality they have.
Right.
And so then the invitation started coming less and less, because I do a youth rally here, a youth revival here, a lock-in or something, and it's like, boy, them young folks, they were just eating it up, because I was still young myself,
Right.
And so it was like I was doing the work of the ministry, and I was getting results.
Right.
I was bearing lots of fruit.
Right.
And instead of them, receiving that, they started, like I say, they started just trying to hold me down, because they didn't like the fact that they weren't effective like that. But it was the anointing that because God had appointed me. That's why I say the difference between God doing it and another man appointing you, because I was just giving my testimony and just being real, and it was getting so much response, know. And then after the service would be over, they would still try to do the traditional way and stuff. Oh, we'll go, eat, by ourselves. We'll have, the 5-star full course meal. Well, I say 5-star, 5-course, meal. And people serving us, they bringing us our food, and we sitting at the table, and and I'm thinking, my whole time I'm thinking, everybody, down in the cafeteria, they might be eating hot dogs or chips, or they might, like I say, they might not have nothing. And so I would be like, can y'all excuse me? Because I'm thinking about all these young people came to the altar, and now we all up here, and they all, like, who gonna talk to them now since church over with? Wow. And so I would go down there and just start fellowshipping with them. I'm like, forget that food. And there we go again. I started meeting that opposition because I was just being real. I was really loving on the people. I wasn't just talking when I was behind the pulpit, and then after it's over, I act like I don't know none of them.
Right. It's and with that, you were just talking. You weren't throwing Bible scriptures. You weren't preaching a sermon. You were just telling your testimony. Yeah. And what we are starting to see, and someone else even commented that a lot of the pastors are giving motivational speeches now, and they're dropping nuggets, or, they're having these conferences, and it's not really like scriptural. And that's why I'm saying, I believe that people are gifted. I believe that people can speak and they can touch people. Just look at some of the mainstream ones that are, celebrity pastors.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to lord or shepherd over someone. You can just have your motivational company or your motivational speaker self, and just go out there and, because that's what it seems like it's coming down to. Because, when you hear these messages and they're preaching and they'll say something, and it's like, ooh, and it wasn't a scripture. It was just something deep and something about how to transform your life and how to cut out negative people or toxic relationships and things like that. But we're calling it a pastor, we're calling it church, when it's not so much a word from scripture or God. It's more motivational speaking that we're hearing right now.
Mm-hmm. About that. And also too, like, the difference is like somebody that has a heart, a true shepherd's heart, versus a hireling, like they say, somebody that's a hireling. A hireling don't care. A hireling, they'll let you risk your life for them before they risk their life for you, you know, stuff like that. And, but a real shepherd, he'll put his life on the line to protect his sheep, you know, and it's just the opposite, you know, a lot of times now. And that's the problem, because I've just seen so much. I don't care if I was at a church with 25 members or a church with 25,000. You know, it's all the same when you, like, in the nucleus of that ministry.
Right.
You know, it's like people on the outside, they don't see what's going on.
Right.
You know,
they don't. And we have the behind the scenes, because you and I we've been in ministry. We were in church, you know, for a great part of our lives. And we were under some of the same leaders. I'm from Houston, and I know that you were under some people over in that area. And you see all these pastors that are mainstream, large churches, they're divorcing, they're stepping down, and they're getting sat down, or they're sitting down themselves. And so we can talk a little bit about that, because that goes back to my point is, this is why we should not have this, you need another human being over you. Why? Some of their lives are jacked up, and they're having issues with children, issues in marriage, mental health issues. And I'm feeling at peace, and you want me to go sit up under somebody? And I told somebody that, you know, you should know what's going on in your leader's life, because what happens to them does affect you. You're connected to that energy. You're connected to that frequency and that spirit. What happens to them? Because you know why? That same deacon that was in our church that came to me and told me that information, all 3 of them are divorced. Everybody that was under us, divorced, including me and the pastor. Divorced. They're all divorced. People that you know,
I'm divorced.
Right. And so the 3 main couples that we were training up in leadership under us as their spiritual father and spiritual mother, they're all divorced. We're divorced. And so, you know, we can talk a little bit about that, because that's my point, is you're forcing and saying, you got to have somebody, you got to have somebody. And look at this mess that we're seeing now, you know, amongst leaders.
And when it all boils down, it's like they've been doing it for so long. It's like they just can't fathom pushing the reset button, because they would have to basically do what we did. You practically have to push the reset button. You do. You do. And they're afraid to do that, because they know what it would take. But also, they have to be on that level, like where they really are searching, because until they really, you know, get tired of being played, because really they being played and used. And used. So until they get tired of that, it's like, there's nothing you can do about it. That's why I say I just do my thing, and they, you know, whatever. But people like us, you know, that are searching, you know, that's why we here. You know, we here for those people to let them know, y'all not the only ones, you know, that see that now. Y'all not the only ones that have woke, you know, what they call woke. Y'all ain't the only one that's awakened. Y'all have been enlightened. Y'all not the only ones.
No, they're not.
And so those are the ones we call to. We call to those people. We not called to the church folks that want to stay there and do they, you know, and defend the pastor, even though the pastor ain't even defending himself. You know, they talking for the pastor. If the pastor want to say something, let him say something.
Right.
But he don't say nothing. But they want everybody want to defend the pastor, and he ain't even defending himself. You know, because he know, number one, he know we right. But number two, you know, he ain't about to, you know, put himself like to get exposed, you know, because they ain't gonna do it. You know, I have yet, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to have debates with pastors and stuff on social media, but I have yet to have one pastor to get on my post and try to debate and argue with me. It's always the sheep.
That's what I'm saying. It's always the church folk. That's also my comments. I'm like, ain't no pastors shoot it. I be going in on these pastors, but nobody my comments. as far as the pastor. The ones that do are saying it's sad that this is happening. They're agreeing. The pastors that do, they're saying, you know, I don't do that with my members. I allow them to give freely. But the ones, because I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, and I know I know 500 pastors, you know, so it's not like, you know, when I'm saying stuff, you know, I'm just, you know, kind of just shooting in the dark. You know, I know so many pastors,
right?
And whether they admit it or not or agree with it or not, it's just facts.
It is what it is, right?
You know, it's just facts.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is they're like, you know, I'm not here for church folk, like you were saying, and the pastors, they will come on there, and you know, well, the ones that are positive, they'll say, we agree with you, you're right, you're not supposed to tithe, but the ones that are wrong are silent. That just baffles me. And it, like you said, it's the church members that are my pastor, my pastor, my pastor, and you out of order. Okay, you're telling me that I'm out of order. Did you talk to the 10, now 11 pastors in my Dallas area that sat themselves down? Y'all know who they are, and just look up the Dallas area. It's a whole video. Sat themselves down. Did you go and tell them that they out of order? No, you didn't.
Yeah, come on now.
Mad at me instead of being mad that the truth has to be spoken. That's what we need to be focusing on.
Yep, and they teach people that to be secretive, you know, because we all know we human. We all know we sin and fall short of the glory of God. But the difference between the everyday person or even just a church member, the difference is leadership. If you are a leader, it's different now. You know, you held to a higher standard. I don't care what nobody say. Yeah, you human. Yeah, you flesh. But if you put yourself in a leadership position, you are going to be held to a higher standard.
You will.
You know, so don't come whining, you know, when people call you out, you know, because you done put yourself up there on that pedestal, you know, and now all of a sudden you being exposed, and it's pride and it's arrogance, it's shame, you know, they be shame.
Especially
you know, it's a lot of stuff.
It's shame.
You know, and so it's a lot of stuff, you know, that goes on. And so, you know, it is what it is. That's just like myself. I mean, whenever I'm speaking, I'll step on my own toes if I have to, because I don't care. You know, the truth is the truth, you know, and that's what I'm all about. And like, you know, like even like New Light Christian Center, we all, you know, y'all was on the New Light Christian Center leadership.
We were.
I was on the New Light Christian Center leadership, and you have to be hiding under a rock to say you haven't heard what's been going on, you know, with the Hilliards and stuff now. And and I can speak from experience because I was on staff there. And when we used to go to those meetings, when we had the staff meetings and stuff, I mean, I'm just gonna be real. They treated the staff, not the executive staff. I'm talking about just the staff, just the regular staff. We all got treated like dirt, you know. It was like they was all up here, and like I say, we all down here. When I came out of ministry, you know, and I know that how they have that air about them, you know, like, you know, everybody's supposed to kiss their feet and stuff, you know, and so it's like, you know, because I'm all about being a servant, you know. The Bible say, you know, that's what Jesus say, you know, who want to be the greatest of these? You have to be a servant. You have to have a servant's heart, you know. And so I remember, you know, being in those meetings and stuff, and you would just feel so awkward and so out of place. You'd be wondering if you still at church, you know. When they have the meetings, they just be so cold and so dry, and so like it's like it would be you would feel so intimidated, like the average person, you know, that don't know about ministry and didn't grow up in ministry, but they just happy to be on staff at a mega church like this, you know. It's like you'll get crushed quick. Because you thinking all these people just walk on clouds and they all spiritual and they got the Holy Ghost and just love and then you find out real quick that that in behind closed doors, it ain't like that.
No, because we were under them as when my ex-husband had a church, you would find somebody to be a spiritual father over you. And so they had pastor like program, and we were under them at New Light, and we were under them. And we we would go into the meetings, just walking into the office, you just feel I'm a peasant. You just feel, like, but the thing is that Black people, we get blinded because it's a nice church. Black people ain't never had nice stuff. It's a huge church, and you see a rich, wealthy, pastor, bishop with a helicopter.
Yeah.
We get blinded by that.
Yeah.
You don't have that as a church member. You go home to Section 8. You going home to living with somebody. You go home with extension plans and payment plans. That's yours. In my church, that's my bishop. That's my church. They're going home in Rolls Royces, honey.
Yeah.
Riding the church van.
Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? And
I'm telling you, and see, and that's what I'm saying, because I used to always say to myself that, because that's what drew me to New Light, because I did see that, because I started watching the Light on TV. And I was still living down in the country, down in Brazoria and stuff. And I would see the Light on TV, and I was just really fascinated, because that has always been my dream, to be, doing the ministry, doing the work of the Lord, and still being able to be, like what they call the prosperous in every area of your life, spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, financially, and so that's what drew me.
Right.
And so, when I got there, I mean, I was just in awe, because I'm from the country, I had never seen, been a part of a mega ministry and stuff like that, and it's it's impressive.
It is. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It's really impressive, and to see your pastor, like you said, flying off in a helicopter, to know they got their own jet, and like you say, they pulling up in Rolls Royces and Bentleys, and and got churches in multiple locations, big old churches, not little churches, and they come up every Sunday with new dress, new suit. You never seen them wear the same clothes twice, and 5, 10, carat diamond ring, just it was really impressive.
Right, and then don't forget the armor bearers and the security guards, like 8 deep.
Yeah, and then
one of them pushed me one time. I was sitting, and I was just standing there, and they come through, and I'm like, good Lord, okay.
Yeah, and see, and I got to know a lot of the leadership, by being there, and a lot of the ones that's not there anymore that were, in the key leadership positions and stuff, and I'm not being negative. I'm just telling my story. When I was there, I mean, it was just I got so disappointed, because I was really excited to be on staff there at first. Right. I mean, I was really excited. I'm like, God, I'm a little country boy, and now you look here, I'm on staff at the Light, and with the Hilliards, and when we would go to the meetings and stuff, and we would go to the corporate office and stuff, it's like you just think, especially if you're on staff,
right?
You thought they would be more welcoming. You thought they would be more friendly. You thought that, you just expect, hey, how y'all doing? You just anything. It was like it was nothing like that. It was like it was straight business. But then it's like, even with the salaries and stuff, it was just these menial salaries, and so I remember one guy that used to work with the video production and stuff, and doing the TV shows and all that stuff. Well, I remember he would come to work in this well, I ain't gonna say the car, because if he hear this, he'll know I'm talking about him. But he used to come in this beat up old car every day, like, because people come on Sundays and Wednesdays, but like, you know, that church, it's a 7 day a week operation, you know, and so when we would come to church, I mean, we would come to the church, but it was business during the weekday and stuff, we would get there in the morning and stuff just had to be done, you know, like even when people come make deliveries and stuff, you know, I was part of the group that they call us building maintenance and building management. You know, it's like during the weekday, you know, we just did whatever needed to be done at the church, but then, you know, on Wednesdays, you know, we do our thing, and I was part of the music department and stuff like that. But during the weekday, you just, you know, did what needed to be done. But like I say, I remember him coming, and he would be in this car about to fall apart, you know, and he was faithful with his tithes and offerings. He was faithful with his commitment to that job, and I was thinking to myself, like, I know they know this man, you know, I know they know the condition he in, you know, he not an alcoholic, he not a drug addict. He faithful to the church, but he just don't make enough money, you know, to provide for his family. And so I'm like, I started thinking, you know, like, when is enough enough? You know, when do you have enough where you can start giving back?
Come on.
You know, I that's really what started, you know, coming through my mind all the time. Right. I'm like, you know, yeah, I mean, y'all got one of the biggest houses in Texas, and you just living so large. But it's so many hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe even thousands out there that just wondering how they gonna make ends meet, or wondering how they gonna, you know, pay for their groceries. I wonder
just in their preservation.
Yeah, I even had a situation where I ran out of gas going back home one time because I lived in Brazoria, and so I was like an hour away, and I didn't even have enough money. I had a family, and my first wife, she was pregnant and stuff with my son, and I'm just happy to be with this ministry, thinking, you know, you know, something gonna happen. You know, God gonna bless me. You know, I'm do my first fruit offering. You know, and God gonna miraculously, you know, call somebody to, you know, just call me and give me $10,000.
Delusional. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I run out of gas coming from the light, and my cousin had to come meet me halfway with a tank, like with a gas can, and I'm coming from church, you know, with multi-million-dollar pastors and family, you know, and that's what I'm saying, because I can speak personally. And I remember one time we were at a conference, at a pastors and leadership conference, and after we got through doing praise and worship and stuff, because I was playing the sax in the band and stuff, and we wasn't getting paid, we wasn't even getting blessed, you know, we were just playing for free, and so whenever we all, you know, everything was over with the praise and worship and stuff. Well, I remember Pastor Hilliard, he got up, you know, and I call him Pastor Hilliard to this day. If I see him right now, he know me. I mean, I have nothing but love and respect for him. But when I see him, I always call him Pastor Hilliard. I didn't go with all the apostles, the doctors, every time they change Bishop, yeah. I just, hey, Pastor Hilliard, you know, and that's with anybody. That's not just him. It's like, I can't keep up with the titles. You know, I just call you, you know, what I see you as. I use my pastor, you know, so. And so it's like I'm telling you, like with this situation, we all sat down, you know, because they was getting ready to start, you know, the preaching part and stuff. And so before that happened, I mean, I'm telling you, and the people that be there, they can relate. Y'all might have been in the audience. I don't know what year that was, but I remember Pastor Hilliard stood up and he said, me and Dr. B, we need to go on a vacation. Who want to bless us? Who want to send us on a vacation? And of course, his, you know, he got his select, sons in the ministry, they stood up first, and they raised their hand, give this much. Pastor, we gonna get this much. Our church gonna get this much. Well, of course, the other ones start feeling, now you pressuring other people now, because they like, if we don't give, and this is a pastors and leadership conference. So now you got all these pastors and they leaders, speaking on behalf of their church. Their church ain't voted on this. Their church ain't, agree to this. But all of a sudden now they all standing up, just giving money, pledging. And I'm telling you, right there on the spot, I think it was like $50,000. It's just for them to go on a vacation, whether they spent the money on a vacation or not. They got their own money. They millionaires. So what was the point of standing up just to say, me and Dr. B want to go on vacation? And then everybody start piling money on them, when you got people in that congregation probably was wondering how they was going to, pay their car note, or, just whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they never, and I don't even care if they gave to some people here and there. If it was
that money, yes,
or they family, something like that. But I'm talking about when you have a heart for your people, you can't, like, if I had all of that, it was no way I can sit there and let all my people suffer, knowing them personally. I'm not talking about somebody just come off the street bumming and begging and just trying to take advantage of the church. I'm talking about people that was faithful for years and committed for years and giving their tithes and offerings and seeds and all this stuff, for years and years and years. And then, I know people that lost jobs, and they try to come to the church, and it's like you got to go through so many hoops just to get a $50 gift certificate to Walmart. You got to give your whole life history just to get that. And it's like the benevolent offering and the offerings and stuff. That's what they for. They to help. That's what in the book of Acts. Nobody had a need because that's what they was doing. They would give to make sure it was no needs. So how are you way up here and everybody else way down here? And the only way for them to come up where you at is to give everything to you.
That's disturbing. That just
don't make no sense.
That's what I'm talking about.
It don't make no sense. But that goes back on the leadership, because it turns into greed. Like I said, when is enough? Once you got your Rolls Royce, once you got your Bentley, once you got your jet, once you got your helicopter, once you got your, like they selling the house now for $15 million, once you got all of this, okay, now it's time to start blessing your other people that's been there riding with you through this time. When are they gonna get their blessing? Not them giving to you to get a blessing. When are you gonna just say, we gonna start giving back? Of course you can't give all your money away. Of course you can't bless everybody. But I'm talking about a strategic plan where now we finna start showing y'all some love. Y'all been showing us love for decades and decades and decades. We got more than enough. Our cup running over. So now we finna start showing y'all some love. I never seen that.
Okay, because I love people and I love, our people. How did we get here? How do you think that we got here as the Black people, Black church? And I'm sitting here thinking, because I know that during the slavery time, they said that pastors and teachers were, looked upon as, highly respected, because through the week you were a slave. But on Sunday, that's the pastor, he's bringing the word. And I do believe that Christianity was and did exist before slavery, that it wasn't Ethiopia. People say, no, Africa, Africa already had Christianity. The white man didn't give that to us. I believe that because Ethiopia is talked about in the New Testament. I can believe that. That's fine. But it's the way that slavery, the way they used the Bible to control and didn't let us read. And then the only thing that they did tell us about was slaves, obey your masters. Unto God. They would definitely bring that text out. But how did we get to this place where now all these pastors are just falling and people are leaving the church? What do you think happened, even with the Hilliard situation, or just the 11 that was in my city and just all over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just like you right, I mean, just like you just stated, like in your area and stuff. I mean, the pillars. We're not talking about any people.
Mm-mm.
We talking about the pillars that everybody done looked up to for decades. They the ones getting exposed. They the ones, you know, stepping down, like you said, or getting called down, you know. And so I hate the fact that Cat Williams had to be the prophet for the beginning of the year. But remember when he was saying all of that on Club Shay Shay, he was saying that about this year. He said everybody, all the lies, all the people that's been doing stuff in secret and behind closed doors is gonna get exposed.
Right,
and look what's happening. That's why I say, God, he used the donkey to talk. You know, I mean, he can use anybody. Because Cat Williams and Shannon, you know, they had that platform.
They did.
And God used that because that prophetic word was the truth, because they embed with the world.
Right.
You know, a lot of them embed with the world, you know, because they on such a high level, and they like like you said, like celebrity pastors now. They mix and mingle with a lot of the secular people too, you know, so much to after a while it just gets intertwined in the Bible, you know, that's when you start messing up, you know, because everything's supposed to stay distinct. You know, you can't be a witness when you start compromising.
Right.
You know, and so how you gonna witness to P. Diddy when you acting, you know, becoming part of P. Diddy? What he doing? You know, it's like you can't be of the world and then reach the world at the same time. You know, you can't compromise, and that's what's happening now. And it's been happening for a long time. And people, they just, I mean, human beings, they just test God to the limit. That's the bottom line. It's like God been trying to warn these people forever. Mm-hmm. You know, it ain't like they didn't know. It ain't like they wasn't getting warned. It's like they just don't. It's like they figure, you know, that they invincible. Or it ain't gonna happen to them. And then when they get exposed, you know, it's like instead of repenting, or instead of turning, you know, like coming clean, they double down, just like in the secular world, you know, just like in politics, you know, they double down. They don't confess, they don't repent, they don't come clean. They just start making more excuses, you know, because they don't want to be looked upon as a certain way, but they make themselves look worse whenever they don't come clean, you know, and that's what's going on, because I'm telling you, like, you know, I'm saying that with New Life, because I was sitting in the church, like Kamisha, the oldest daughter, like me and her know each other real good. When I was on staff there, and she was like over the administration, and I even got run off from there by one of Pastor Hilliard. What Tina, the Egan's guy, that's Terry Egan, that's not, you know, her first husband.
No, it's not.
And so that first one, or at least the first one that I know, I think he was the only one, but that guy was something else. And he was the one that I was under. I was under him. He was the son-in-law at that time, and he was something else. And so me and him, you know, kind of bump heads a little bit, but he started like lying on me and stuff, because it's like our spirits, like I was saying, our spirits started clashing and stuff, and I had the keys and stuff to the building. I would let myself in and do everything need to be done. I set the air conditioners for service and stuff, so it'll be cool. And then when people start coming, I'll be the last one to leave, locking up and setting the alarm to the computer for the alarm. I had all access to that stuff, you know. So I'm not just talking about I was just a usher or a greeter. You know, I was in the mix, And so that guy was just he wasn't right, you know. But that was the air about the family. That was kind of like the whole air. It was like they all picked up that same air, like we somebody, you know, y'all just little peons, you know. And that's how he used to treat me. And I'm gonna tell you, I got fired over. He said during one of the leadership conferences. This is what he said. He said, Minister Baker, it was a piece of cheesecake missing out of the ice box. You know, like I said, the key leadership, they were the ones come, you know, eat like kings and queens after everything was over. Well, he accused me of taking a piece of cheesecake that was supposed to be for them that night. That's what I got fired over. Number one, I told him he lying. I say, man, I ain't messing with none of that food in that ice box.
I can't.
Now, these people multi-millionaires, but I get fired over supposedly eating a piece of cheesecake out the ice box. Because like I said, number one, I didn't. But I'm driving an hour to work, an hour back home, and I ran out of gas before going back home. And where's the love? Even if I did eat the cheesecake, I was hungry. I ain't had no money to buy food, but it wasn't even true. And I got fired over that. And then when we went to the main office, that's where Kamisha was, and that's when I first got introduced to her back then, like on a personal level. But it wasn't a good thing. It was negative because she was the one who had to kind of approve my termination. And so when we went to the corporate office, now I'm telling you, I knew the Hilliard was very good already. So whenever I got in there and Kamisha was talking to me, she just was basically listening to John. That was her brother-in-law at the time. You know, so everything, all the accusations he said, it was mainly just a cheesecake. But then you know how the devil do. Now all of a sudden, I'm playing the instruments when I'm supposed to be working, and I'm up there in the stand, you know, playing, you know, and I'm like, man, what are you talking about? But long story short, I got terminated, and I was like, I say it's not even true, you know, and I say, but even if it was true, I said the same thing. I say I drive an hour up here and an hour back for this salary. I say it's like minimum wage. I say, but I was just excited to be a part of this ministry because I knew one day, you know, hopefully I'll get promoted or something. You know, I'm just, you know, just happy to be a part of this ministry. Mm-hmm. Man, it was like it fell on deaf ears, and I like I shed tears coming out of that office because Dr. Bridget and Pastor Hilliard had their office doors shut to make sure I didn't say nothing to them. And when I walked out of there, I mean, I was in tears. And you know what I did? Even though I wasn't on staff there, I still was a member there. So when when Sunday came around, all the leaders and stuff and people on staff, we could sit at the front, wherever. I sat right there on the front seat, knowing I was fired, knowing I was terminated, knowing they all turned their back on me and wouldn't even talk to me to even get my side of the story. I sat right there on that front row and just looked at Pastor here right in his eye during his whole sermon. Amen. That's right. That's right. Because I ain't got no ill will towards nobody. You know, but they did me wrong, and that's what I'm saying. If that happened to me, imagine all the other people, you know, that happened to. Right. Because that's my own personal story, and I went there with a pure heart and driving an hour just to be a part of that ministry. Right. And they had me out there, like before service started, I would water around the helicopter pad to make sure dust didn't fly on people's cars.
Edmond.
And I'm in my church clothes. I'm in my suit. And that's the kind of stuff I would do. And I did it happily. I did it joyfully because I was a part of that ministry. And that ministry just stuck a dagger in my heart when I needed them.
And now, and look at what is happening now. That's the sad part. And people want to come after us and try to rebuke us. And why are you continuing to mock the church with your videos? The church is doing that very well on its own. And I'm not mocking God. The church is mocking God and making a mockery out of God. And so with all of that you've shared, so many people are going to relate to it. Just like both of us were a part of the light. We were under there. We were under, like I said, under the pastor, first lady clique, you know, at those special meetings, those one-on-ones with them as well. And it's like we're just all looking for that approval. We're looking to them because we see them in a way that we shouldn't. And that's why it's important to see each other like this. We have different functions, but our roles, we're all equal. We just have different functions. And that will keep people from being hurt, keep people from being disappointed. And so when you something, oh, okay, I understand that could happen because they're just human. Versus Bishop, what? Bishop, what? You know, and first, what? I just couldn't even imagine. We need to start imagining and keep people here. And so as we wrap up, when we talk about church leadership, what do you think that people should start doing now? There were some different things that I've shared that you should know what's going on in their life. I'm not saying you walk up to them and say, hey, how's your sex life? But you should know what's going on in your leadership's life. If you're going to be a part of that, you should have a discerning spirit instead of blindly, whatever he do with the money, that's on him. That's why you're not financially free, because you're not sowing into good ground and you don't know where your seed is going. So what would you advise people that are still going, they still want to go, advise them when it comes to church leadership?
Well, I'm gonna answer that, but I gotta say this right quick too, to finish up this story, because you know, Kamisha, did you see her video? Have you seen her video yet?
I did.
Okay, well, when she wrote that book, Going to Church to Catch Hell, you know, she had kind of, you know, she started, I don't know, she probably was witnessing it all along, but it had got to a boiling point, you know, and so when she left, you know, that's what that was all about. And I feel like she was pressured to do a lot of things that she might not even wanted to do. And so, you know, it's like with her, like when she left the church, I remember, because I came back a second time. I went to go be a youth pastor at another church, but then I came back to the light on my second marriage.
Right.
And she was already gone. But I remember, like, after she left, like, it's like everybody knew about Kamisha because she used to be a major part of the ministry. Then all of a sudden, they never mentioned her name no more. Like, how do you just vanish a person that everybody knows? You know, like, they'll talk about Tina, they'll talk about Arisha, they'll talk about Prisha, and they never mention Kamisha. And I'm like, they got four daughters. Like, why they don't never say nothing about her? And that's what I'm saying. Like, what kind of heart do you have to have, like, to disown your child, you know, in a public, like on a major platform? Like, that's just like me and you, you know, we talking right now,
right?
And then the video right here, and then tomorrow somebody say, hey, you talked to Dorian? I say, no, I ain't never talked to Dorian. I ain't never talked to her. What you talking about? But they can go see the video, and me and you sitting here talking right now. That's kind of how it was for all them years. For, I think she said 24 years. How you gonna say you don't have, like, she don't exist for 24 years and everybody know that's your daughter? You know, so that's what I'm saying. That's real puzzling to me. You know, how you can do that and be on a national, international level and never acknowledge your daughter when everybody know you got her, you know. And so when all this stuff going on now, you know, and it's like, I'm like, you know, it's so much had to been going on behind the scene that we didn't know. But it's like, how can you not acknowledge her, you know, even just to say you have you know, another daughter, even if she's not part of the ministry, but they just erase her name from the church. But now, like I say, now we, you know, we cool, we communicate. We ain't like best friends, but I'm just saying we communicate on social media. And I just told her that, you know, God bless her, much love, and she know I know the situation, you know, and that was that. You know, we ain't talk about nothing, but I just wanted her to know that, you know, I can relate. She know I can relate.
Right.
But anyway, to answer your question, I say this: if you go to your pastor and you have genuine questions, and he get mad, you need to leave.
All right, guys, you got it. That's the end of the show. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You should be able to ask questions.
Yep.
You should be able to ask questions.
If you can't ask questions, if they get upset by you asking questions, then you need to leave. Right. Because they not being genuine, and it's something that they hide, and it's just something. Because you don't get upset with people asking you questions unless you have something to hide.
Right. You have a truth that they don't want to be revealed.
Yeah, or it's a hidden agenda. It's something going on. Because if I'm transparent with my members, I mean, you can ask me anything, you know. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you, you know. If it's a genuine question, you know, or if it's something, you know, like you said, you know, you ask me something about my personal life, you know, that's different. But I'm saying if it's a genuine spiritual question or something that have to do with the church or has to do with you personally. Right. Because if it's something that's dealing with you personally, it might be a personal question. Correct. You know, but I'm just saying, for the most part, you know, that pastor should be as transparent as possible, you know, and as open as possible. And if they don't like you asking questions, right, then that's a red flag. Right. And that's as we ended, that's my take on it. If people want to go to church, go to church. If they want a pastor, have a pastor, just like I want them to leave me alone and let me have my spiritual journey. But look at the fruit. Look at the fruit of your life. You've been sowing money, resources, time, and energy. Has your life truly, in every area, in every way, gotten better as a result of being connected to this church, this pastor? And if not, you need to reevaluate. Yep. Tell them about your album before we leave. Oh, oh, excuse me. Well, my new album just got released October the 1st. It's called Just Doing My Thing. So it's on all the streaming platforms. It's on Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, Pandora, everything. Right. And so you can always go in the comments and put links or put whatever you want to put to go support his album. I've been listening to it and streaming it. Well, cool. So appreciate it. Congratulations. And I do have what I call collectible CDs. Yes. Because some people play CDs still, but if you don't play CDs, they still, you know, good to have as collectibles. Sure. And so you can put your website as well, put all the things in the comment section. And most likely we'll probably come back and do a part 3, and we'll just keep the discussion going because the people are hungry, the people are waking up. I love people. I want to see healing happen on both sides, whether you're a church, whether you're a church leader, whether you don't want to have nothing to do with it. That's our purpose. We're not here to tear down our own people or tear down a specific church or a pastor. We're coming to expose and bring truth so that people can be free, because that's what it says, right? The truth will set you free. Some people say make you free. Yes, but that's what we want. I want people to be free. That's it. Yeah. And we definitely got to do a part 3 because I got plenty more to tell. I can even go into Lakewood because I was going to staff at Lakewood too. So we'll say that for part 3. Right. We'll do that. And I was at Lakewood as well. That's crazy. We were at Lakewood as well. All right. Well, you all have a great evening whenever you're watching this. Good morning. And thank you so much again for being my special guest. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. All right. Till next time. All right.